Hello everyone, welcome to Analog IAS Current Affair Analysis for 11th August 2020, and these are the articles we'll be dealing today. The first article for the day is taken from The Hindu and it is titled Making Up for Shortfalls in GST Collection. So let me give a brief context for this article. In the wake of the pandemic, the GST collections across the country have fallen drastically. So there is a provision within the GST mechanism to allow for a compensation for the states where they did not witness 14% growth rate when compared to its previous year. So this 14% was arrived after a calculation by a committee, and that committee has decided that it should be mandated as per the law, and this is for a period of 5 years from the initiation of GST. So from the period of 2017 to 2022, if the state revenue falls below 14% of the time that it was existing before, the center will compensate the states. Now how will center fund these states? That is possible through a fund called compensation fund, which imposes cess on certain luxury goods and sin goods like cigarettes, etc. So how much is the cess depends on the kind of item that the cess is imposed on. It ranges anywhere between 12 to 200%. So in the present times, the demand for even these luxury and sin goods has fallen more or less, and therefore even the compensation cess is not enough to compensate for the kind of losses that the states are witnessing. So it was projected that around 1,10,000 crores would be collected every month when GST reaches its full potential, but in the present state, we are not even able to meet 60 to 70,000 crores in the wake of this pandemic. Even before pandemic has struck, there has been a demand downfall. So in an economy, there are two sides: supply side and a demand side. So even before the pandemic, the demand side has been severely constrained because of lack of real wage growth rate. Since there were no wages, there were no savings as well. Since there were no savings, there was no investment. And you know that the formula for GDP is C plus I plus G plus X minus M. We are talking about consumption, investment, government expenditure, and net trade. So when we're talking about investment, household saving rates has fallen down drastically. So it has impacted the demand overall even before our pandemic has struck. So after pandemic, the situation got only worse because when you want to deal with the pandemic, the states are the real nodal agencies to handle the pandemic. So they are severely constrained for resources. So they are looking at center to borrow more money. Now the center is in a fix. How to finance the states? See, for example, if we take a look at the 15th Finance Commission, certain states have special grants. So these states have been granted special funds because of various reasons. Now there are also states which got revenue deficit grants. So one of the parameter is tax effort in the 15th Finance Commission report. This is to bring to your notice that generally Finance Commission is for a period of 5 years, but the peculiarity of this Finance Commission is that it released a report for 2020-21 first, and then later for 21 to 26 there will be another report that will be coming out in October 2020 as per the schedule. Now in the wake of this pandemic, we have to see what will be the kind of report that Finance Commission will be coming out. So other than the special grants and the revenue deficit grants for a few states, which is also very meager, Finance Commission has not granted any other funds. So take the example of Kerala. First it was hit by the pandemic, then it was hit by the floods. Now recently there has been a landslide as well. So the state's coffers have been suffering because of the lack of these funds, and the government has not even compensated completely, and this has severely restrained Kerala's efforts to handle the pandemic in a broad manner. So the other way to finance this is to borrow money. Now whether states can borrow or not is given in Article 293, which says that if states already have a pending loan from the government, central government, they cannot borrow more according to Article 293 without the consent of center. So again, this sort of poses a handicap on the ability of the states to borrow money from the external market. So it is in this context that the GST Council, which was created as per the Constitutional Amendment Act, which inserted Article 279A. So in this, the functioning is in this way. So 3/4 majority is required, and it constitutes center, which has 1/3 power, and the states have another 2/3 power. So in a way, to attain this 75%, without center exhibiting its consent, it cannot pass the resolution. So in a sort of way, center has a veto. Even if states, all the states combined together vote in favor of a decision, it will still be only 66%. So it is accused that GST Council has a balance tilted in the favor of the center. So in the present context, many states are not happy with the center not allowing the states to borrow, or it is not even giving money in the form of compensation. So in this context, what should be done is the central agenda of this article. So the author suggests the following things. For starters, the author opines that the 14% growth rate itself is very ambitious. If we take a look at the mandate of RBI, especially the Monetary Policy Committee, which has a target of inflation range between 2 to 6%. So nominally we can say on an average the inflation rate target is somewhere around 4%. So considering all these factors, a real GDP growth rate of 9%, that is 14% minus 4%, 9 to 10%, is way too ambitious for our country, looking at the supply side constraints we have. So the country has undergone structural changes in the recent times in agriculture, and the government is focused on ease of doing business. But these measures take time to have any benefits. In the meanwhile, states really are desperate for money. So what are the options available? For starters, we should amend the law and reduce this 14% growth rate to readjust to the present scenario. Now in the GST Council, there has been a debate that who should borrow the money. So financing the deficit is an imperative right now. There is no other option. Whether it is the center or whether the state should borrow, this has been the question. So the author opines that the center must take this responsibility so that it brings certain confidence in the states, and the principle of federalism is respected. And most importantly, the last thing that the government must do at the central level is convince all the states that this 14% growth rate that the states have negotiated in the 2017 bill is way off the mark, and the center should definitely convince the states to reduce this number through a Constitutional Amendment Act. We all know that GST Council is a constitutional body, so the decision should be taken by GST Council after thorough consultation with the states, and only then the principle of federalism will be respected. That is the gist of this article. The second article for the day is taken from the Indian Express, and it is titled Fire and Pandemic. So recently we have seen many COVID care facilities, say for example in Ahmedabad and Vijayawada, they have had very bad fire safety standards, and in the wake of this pandemic it only adds more pain to the already existing grievances that many citizens have. So in this context, this brings us to the point of having fire safety within the ambit of disaster management, and how to ensure that compliance of these fire safety standards are taken up seriously by the states at local level. Even before the pandemic, if we take a look at Delhi's fire accident in Anajpur Mandi, so this was one of the worst fire tragedies that happened in almost 2 decades, when at least 43 people died because of the fire. And also in the initial inquiries, it was pointed out that there was negligence such as locked escape routes, no fire safety equipment, no fire safety clearance from authorities. All these were pretty normal. They were not taken so seriously. What is more shocking in the present incidents is the hospitals that we're talking about are private COVID care centers where they were charging a very high premium. Despite all this, the fire safety standards of these advanced facilities, which were supposed to have some of the best safe infrastructure standards, have failed us. So, if we take a look at the larger context of the importance of fire safety in disaster management context, so we have to look at the data from NCRB, because NCRB collects data from fire accidents as well, incidents as well. So we have the data from 2015, which says that every year nearly 15 to 17,000 Indians die because of fire accident, and most of these 62% are women. So this shows that the disproportionate burden of lack of fire safety is borne by women itself. And again, one of the major reason for this, as cited by the Global Disease Burden Study, is that there is no awareness about what to do in the face of a fire accident. So there is a need for building this awareness campaigns as well. Now, if we take a look at the fire service, it is a state subject, or to be very precise, as per the 12th schedule of our constitution, it is under the local bodies. So unless and until we build the capacities of local bodies, not only to handle the pandemic as well as the fires in the present situation, we also have to create the awareness in the context of the lockdown. So it is not really possible to conduct fire drills right now. So what is the best way to do? We have to create awareness amongst the citizens regarding the need for fire safety of a particular care facility, and the kind of measures that households should take, especially women, because traditionally they handle most of the kitchen work, and most of the fire accidents happen in kitchens because of lack of awareness of safety standards. So this lack of capacities on the part of local bodies brings us to the larger context of lack of capacity to deliver good governance. So even acting on time is a part of good governance. The local bodies are sometimes not competent enough because they themselves are not trained in a lot of instances to deal with this crisis on a timely manner. So most of the times we are dependent upon the disaster management forces to handle this crisis. So that should not be the case. We have to invest on good governance as well as enhancing our capacities. It is in this context there are some measures that are required, especially immediately, that is to be taken up by local bodies. What are they? So modernization of fire safety equipment. The government should provide financial support and assistance in augmenting and modernizing the fire departments. Second one is we have to also focus on proper designing of electrical fittings and regular maintenance. We have already discussed this component of awareness, but once in 6 months after this pandemic, there should be a facility where local mohalla schools and involvement of local councillors will ensure this awareness, and fire drills happen on a regular basis. The next thing is that aspect which is always ignored, that is the audit. So fire service departments should audit critical fire prone installations. Say for example, you have high rise buildings. In the present case, you have seen the Vijayawada case where there was a high rise hospital or rather a high-rise hotel which was converted into a COVID care center has caught fire, and because of this they were not able to manage the fire properly, and this has led to a lot of chaos. So high-rise buildings like this, say, or in the future we are talking about buildings like multiplexes in congested areas. So all these areas should be audited from time to time, and appropriate actions should be taken against erring establishments. So in this aspect, we are dealing with the lives of people, and there should be a strict accountability mechanism that should be exhibited by local bodies. Any case of discrepancy should be publicly brought out, and probably if we take the case of example of Rajasthan, they came up with their Jan Suchna portal. So Jan Suchna portal is a portal where the government proactively, without filing an RTI, they will display all the information about the actions taken up by the government. This is a good practice which can be replicated from grassroots level, where all the activities taken up and the accountability mechanism are laid in front of the public to understand what is being done. So this will also build up confidence upon the impact that local bodies can have, and the namesake elections that we have right now will be converted into something meaningful, and that will create and usher a democracy where cities become the engines of real growth without becoming centers of just business activity. So the last thing that we have to focus on is demarcation of entry and exit points in crowded buildings. So there should be periodic renewal of no objection certificates by building owners in order to ensure fire preparedness. This is not a one-time activity. Fire preparedness should happen throughout the life of the building. So in that way, along with these measures, ensuring that these sort of tragedies don't happen, we have to take care in the future that national code for building should be followed very vehemently and seriously. In the same time, in the present pandemic, we have to ensure that a safety protocol is created across the states and across the cities to ensure these kind of incidents don't repeat. We have to learn from our mistakes. So the kind of mistakes that happened in Ahmedabad and Vijayawada should not repeat elsewhere. That should be our objective. So that is the gist, or the background information required for this particular news article. That's it for the day. Thank you.